What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Here we go yesterday. Here we go last week. Things are happening with Savinho and Omar Marmoush, and we'll get into all the nitty-gritties of it in just a second. How are we feeling, guys? How are we feeling,
goes,
everyone?
but no announcements.
No announcements.
No
just
announcements.
Yet.
We're still waiting.
Newcastle. Pretty sure of that. But yeah, do go and check out OK Jersey, people. 10% off your kits. They've just got the new training gear on there. They've got a tracksuit on there and a t-shirt, which is absolutely lovely. The goalkeeping shirt, which is on there, the nice fluorescent pink one. And the third kit is now live on OK Jersey as well. So go and cop that, and you get a further 10% off with the discount code SPURS, which is all pinned to the live chat. All top quality, guys, and when you do order, make sure to order a size up. But it's the best place to shop for your footballing goods. But yeah, quite a bit to get through today. First up, let's talk about James Maddison, because there has been an update from Mike McGrath saying that James Maddison needed checks on a knock sustained in Tottenham's defeat to Brentford. The 29-year-old fell awkwardly on his shoulder after coming on as he stepped up his comeback. But there is hope that he'll still be involved for the game this weekend against Newcastle. Forever having knocks, James Maddison.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. We've kind of always said when come back, and Maddison said it himself, when you're coming back from an ACL, it's not just the ACL you're coming back from, you have to recover from. There's always little niggling injuries that happen. We've seen it with many other players. You look at Rodri, Maddison gave that example last year of Rodri coming back from the ACL, and when he did come back, you know, he was out for a few games here, a few games there, while his body kind of adjusts to returning to professional football, which is kind of expected. It is frustrating, no doubt about it, especially for Maddison and also for us, because we're desperate to see him back on the pitch, and we got little kind of flickers of light with Maddison's cameo against Brentford. Nothing too kind of special, but we just saw little flickers of, you know, him getting in those positions, him twisting and turning, looking a little bit sharper. So if he's now picked up another injury, obviously it is very frustrating. And I think coming into this season with him and Decky as two of our attacking options that we're looking to rely on, obviously that is a massive concern, because we don't really know how much we can rely on them and how much they are going to be fit and available. And him picking up another injury, considering in pre-season he also wasn't able to play much because of injuries he had sustained. It is worrying and concerning and frustrating, but not unexpected.
And in the nature that he plays as well, he's always susceptible to pick up something, because he's always taking on men, drawing fouls. I mean, the year before, I think he drew the most fouls in the Premier League. So that's just the nature of how he plays. And on top of that, he's just an injury-prone player anyway, even before the ACL. So, look, we need to get him back on the pitch, because we've spoken about it so many times about Conor Gallagher. We can't be seeing Conor Gallagher in the 10 for the foreseeable future. So him or Mohamed Kudus need to get back on the pitch from the start, because that's going to really impact our play.
I don't like, though, what I see sometimes from Tottenham fans on social media in response to news like this, in the sense that there seems to be like an overly harsh, mean-spirited response sometimes. Oh, he's finished, get rid, can't, you know, all these kind of things. And I understand the frustration from our part as fans that, you know, we are stuck watching Conor Gallagher a lot of the time because of these things happening. But the guy had an ACL last season. We're going to have to be a bit patient. We're going to have to, like, wait a bit before we're seeing him at his best, and hopefully he can stay fit. But I just don't like some of the responses, as if like it's his fault that he's picking up these injuries.
Yeah. It's just frustration bearing out. And you know what social media, you know what a place social media can be, so it's not exactly surprising. But yeah, I do agree. In terms of some transfer news, let's talk about Omar Marmoush. Obviously, we got the Here We Go yesterday from Fabrizio, but no other real journalists were jumping off the back of that, which was quite surprising. Like, after Fabrizio reported it, you did expect like a David Ornstein tweet or something not long after, which didn't happen. Sam Tabitao says that he understands there is no deal in place yet between Manchester City and Tottenham for Omar Marmoush, despite reports. Sasha Tavaleri says, despite recent reports, all parties are very confident in completing the deal for Omar Marmoush to Tottenham. Last details are currently been finalised. SZY says that Spurs are waiting for the final green light from Manchester City. Paul O'Keefe says that Marmoush is in the capital, is in London, waiting for the final green light to complete his move from Manchester City. So it does seem like Fabrizio Romano might have jumped the gun a little bit on the here we go.
Not the first time.
Yeah.
And Plettenberg called him out. He's actually been getting a tough ride, Romano, this summer window, because quite a few times a few here we goes haven't come to pass. A few times he's maybe called it way too early when actually the deal was still got a little bit away to go. But usually when he says here we go, that deal, 90% of the time does happen. So you still got to be confident that we will be getting Omar Marmoush. He gave quite specific details of the deal as well. Loan with an obligation, 50 million obligation if certain criteria are met. I wonder what that criteria is. But I am confident it's going to happen. But maybe when you hear here we go, you think the deal is signed, sealed and delivered. All you're waiting for is the announcement. And it doesn't sound like we're at quite that stage maybe just yet.
Yeah.
But look, maybe. I mean, there were rumours yesterday that Spurs Egypt have been contacted and they're going to be part of the announcement, all these different things. So maybe this deal is imminent in terms of an announcement. But yeah, I think when it comes to Romano's here we go, they're getting less and less reliable. That is the truth. So you got to take that into account. But we also have to take into account Man City. When it comes to Savinho, they've obviously going to replace him with this Alan Giza from Palmeiras. But we haven't really heard yet of who they're looking to replace Marmoush with. So maybe we have to wait a little bit longer there. But then again, yesterday he didn't come on. And clearly, all the other attackers came off the bench, even Grealish, who a lot of people think he's set to leave. And they're 1-0 down, desperate to get back in the game. And they're not turning to Marmoush. So that goes to show how trusted he is from Maresca right now, I think.
Yeah, and like as soon as the final whistle went, Fabrizio Romano tweeted it. So yeah, maybe he just did jump the gun a bit. But in terms of the makeup of the deal, 50 million with an obligation to buy, like you mentioned, if certain criteria are met. What do you think about that deal? Because obviously, if we go for the loan deal, then he can't play against Manchester City next season.
Which isn't great.
So why have we gone for a loan with an obligation instead of just buying him straight out?
Guessing for financial reasons, you defer the 50 million to next season, and it gives you a little bit more headroom if we want to make another signing, aka code Gakpo for 70 million. Maybe that's what we're thinking. Is it because for Man City's reasoning? But you would think even if there's 50 million, that doesn't come into play when it comes to their 15% sell on for a profit. So I don't know if it's Man City or if it's Tottenham that are making this decision to defer it for a year. Maybe Tottenham have to want to make sure that these certain criteria are met. I don't know what criteria is. Maybe it's a certain amount of goals. Maybe it's Champions League football. Maybe we're worried we're committing all these funds, and if we don't get Europe or Champions League, then all of a sudden the finances are going to hit us a lot harder. So we don't have not a need, but we don't have. We're not forced to sign Marmoush if we maybe don't hit Champions League football. Maybe that is a less burden on our spending. But you'd think if he comes in and smashes it, even if we don't get Champions League, he's going to sign anyway. You would think.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about it. It's just like if the criteria are not met, and we don't take up this option to buy, and he doesn't end up being a Spurs player, we've paid 85 million. For Savinho.
Correct.
Which is just nuts. I think it's nuts. I think we need this deal to happen just to make that the 85 million seem a little more palatable.
Yeah, you would think so. I agree with that. And, Savinho for 85 or Savinho Marmoush for 135, I know which one is a better deal. I know one's a better deal.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, if Marmoush does come in and isn't good, then you could say, you don't need to spend the 50 million on him if he hasn't obviously done it. But obviously we're more sure about Savinho. But 85 million is a bit crazy, isn't it? For Savinho.
It's absolutely nuts. So there is a situation that could unfold where Marmoush goes back to City next summer, and we've just signed Savinho for 85 million, which is terrible, to be honest. Really is.
Well, it depends how good he is.
Yeah, do you envisage by the end of the next season he's an £85 million player?
Probably not. Doesn't mean he won't be.
Like you won't find any other club in in literally world football that would spend that amount of money on Savinho.
Yeah,
Not even the Saudis.
But it seems as though we've been really sure about him.
Yeah.
And we really wanted him through the door, and we're prepared to maybe risk this deal being a bit inflated for Savinho just to make sure we get him. I don't know. It is a bit crazy if Marmoush doesn't end up happening, or if he goes back to City, and then all of a sudden you look at that financial situation like, yeah, we have massively overspent on Savinho. I agree. But then again,
if that actually happens and we've signed Savinho for 85 million, I actually think that might be the biggest overpayment in the history of football. That's how big it is.
Got more than Maguire for 80 million?
I mean, you can't really say till it's all said and done. I think Maguire's been decent for United.
Yeah,
obviously,
but
80 million is a big overpayment. But I think it's on the same level, if not more. Savinho's an attacking player and he scored 2 goals. Maguire had a top season before he joined Man United. So, yeah, I do think it's probably the biggest overpayment in Premier League history.
Yeah. But it depends, yeah, fair, but he might turn out to be a very good player for us.
Yeah, and I'm hoping he is. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see Savinho. I want to see him in a Spurs shirt. I just think that deal for 85 million is just nuts, absolutely nuts. But anyway, we'll see how it all works out. Look, I don't think it's going to work out like that. I think Marmoush will end up signing as a Spurs player full time.
But if he comes in, Marmoush, and we don't get Champions League and he's a bit mid, then what would you rather just spend the extra 50 million just to make the other deal more palatable, or do you say you have to cut your losses? I guess you have to make that decision.
Well, you're probably going to have to cut your losses at the end of the day, but yeah, you'd kind of prefer it to be the other way around. Overpay on Marmoush and bring in Savinho on a loan with an obligation to buy. You'd probably prefer it that way around. Let's talk about Savinho then, because obviously we got the Here We Go days ago. SZY and Paul O'Keefe have both, SZY says he's completed his medical and has signed his Spurs contract, and Paul O'Keefe just confirming that he has completed his medical now. So, yeah, I guess we're just waiting for the Marmoush deal to happen so we can do a double announcement, I guess. That's the only hold-up.
I mean, seems to be the main evidence for these 2 deals definitely being tied together, because why hasn't Savinho been announced yet? When we've heard since, apparently there was even rumours on Friday morning that we were rushing to get this medical done to get him in time for Brentford. Obviously, that was fanciful, but there was all this talk about Tottenham are wanting him for Brentford, and we're trying to rush this deal through. Didn't quite happen, but then why didn't we announce it after the Brentford game? Why didn't we announce it yesterday? Why is it Monday? At this rate, he's probably not even going to sign in time for the Wednesday game. So, what is the delay in this deal if everything is signed, sealed, and delivered if it's not tied to Marmoush?
Well, it's 1,000,000% tied to Marmoush. That's exactly why. There's no other reason.
Well, you say that. I mean, I believe that, and you believe that, but I was reading some journalists yesterday saying they don't believe it is. And
which journalists?
It was the Footy Insider, but he did a video saying he strongly.
Graham Bailey.
No, it wasn't Graham, but I don't know who it was. But I was watching a video from him, and he said it's his strong belief that these 2 deals are not tied. Spurs have just been willing to pay 85 million for Savinho because, in the grand scheme of things, if they did add the 15% on for Marmoush, City are only saving about 1.5 million on that profit deal. So would they risk this whole thing for 1.5 million? That's kind of how he sees it. And he thinks they're not tied together. He thinks they're 2 completely separate deals, and they've just been happy to pay. And he thinks people just can't believe that Spurs have been willing to pay 85 million, but he thinks that is the truth. I don't think it is. I think the evidence is that we're waiting for this Savinho deal. I think it would have been signed if these 2 deals were not tied together.
Exactly.
But he thinks it isn't.
Yeah. Last but not least, Cody Gakpo obviously scored a stunning goal for Liverpool yesterday against Newcastle. 25, 30 yards out, daisy cutter into the bottom corner. Very kind of un-Cody Gakpo goal. I haven't seen him. It was very central to the right area of the pitch where he's usually operating on the left. But a fantastic goal for Cody Gakpo in their 2-2 draw against Newcastle. SZY says he rates the chance of signing Cody Gakpo now as 50%. And Florian Plettenberg is saying that Liverpool are still planning to sign 2 or 3 more players before deadline day. Barcola and Minte remains top priorities for Liverpool at this stage. On Yankuba Minte, they've had 2 bids rejected. Apparently, they are about to go in for a third bid, believed to be around 65 to 70 million pounds. Yeah, I guess, which again, it's the same thing, waiting for Liverpool to get this business done. But it was Cody Gakpo scoring Liverpool's first goal of the season.
Yeah, it was a weird game for Gakpo. I was watching him quite closely, obviously, during the game, and he was probably Liverpool's biggest threat in the forward line. And obviously, he got a brilliant goal. He was the one who kind of got them back in the game. And he was the one most likely for something to happen in that forward line. Rio wasn't doing it. Isaac seemed out of sorts. Wirtz flattered to deceive again. Gakpo was their best attacker on the day. So you look at it from that point of view. And is Iraola really going to sanction the guy who was probably on the day, the one who was most threatening, scored a brilliant goal as well. So it seems stupid in that sense to let him go but ahead of the new season. But on the flip side, after he did score, he was majorly frustrating. I can understand kind of the frustrations Liverpool fans have, because there was a number of occasions where he had the ball in a dangerous position. He had some really good options, and he went for either a shot, which was blocked, or went over the bar. Or there was a moment he went through one-on-one. All he had to do was finish it on his left foot. And he's so determined to get it back on his right, he cuts back inside, and the defender makes a tackle, and the chance was gone. And all he had to do, I don't know if he just doesn't rate his left foot, but all he had to do was finish it on his left foot, and that was a real big opportunity, and that was a 1-1 as well, and that obviously could have put them in the lead. So that was obviously a frustrating moment, and he seemed to really kind of make the wrong decisions after scoring that goal. So on that side as well, I can understand maybe all was looking like, yeah, he did score, but maybe we could have better attackers coming in who can make better decisions. So I can understand that front as well when it comes to Gakpo.
Some Liverpool fans on social media laying into Gakpo for his display yesterday. And I saw bits and pieces of the game. Obviously, I saw the goal. And they were questioning his, dedication to Liverpool as well in the game. They said he looked disinterested.
For me, he was their best attacker by far. Like, Wirtz was doing nothing. Isaac was completely nullified, and Rio was also not doing anything. Gakpo took 6 shots. He was the one trying to do something, and they were much more creative down his side when he was linking with Kirkes as well than they were on the right-hand side. So they can lay him in all they want, but he was much better than all their other attackers.
Yeah, they were saying, I've seen a few tweets, they're saying they were really weak down the left-hand side.
Well, they were much weaker down the right. That's my opinion.
Maybe they were just weak overall.
Yeah, they were. There wasn't a great performance from Liverpool, and they kind of got away with it, getting the draw, to be honest. But I thought they were much better down the left than they were down the right, and they were much more threatening.
Do you think it happens?
I don't know. I'm toing and froing on this deal. I think the likelihood is it doesn't. That's kind of my gut feeling. I think Iraola is going to want him for the season. That's kind of my gut feeling. But
also depends how much money they actually spend in this last week. Like, if they go buy Barcola for 130, 140 million, whatever it is, they go and buy Yankuba Minte for 70 million, and even a third player for big money as well. Like, surely that opens the door for Gakpo.
If they get 3, then I think it's pretty certain he's going to come here, because I don't think they sign 3 attackers unless they're going to let him go. If it's just Barcola and Minte, I would say the likelihood is he comes, but it's still in the balance. If it's only 1, I don't think there's any chance he comes.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. That is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts about all the news stories that we have brought to you today. It is time to bring up our first panel show of the season. We are awaiting our 4th guest still. He's a no-show. He said, make it 3:30, make it 3:30. 3:42, he's not even here yet. So where is he?
Let's see. I mean, he's just put in something in the chat.
Let's bring on Brains anyway, and we'll get this show on the road, and then he can join when he wants to join. But let's bring him on. Brains McLeod.
What's up, guys?
How's
it going?
Nice to see you. He texted this morning saying, get me on a panel show. I want to come on today. Get me on now.
Tired of this. Tired of it.
I'm sure you've got a lot to say.
By the way, we're in the midst of a Hollywood star now. You know what I mean? He's not just Gav.
Oh, shut up.
Hollywood star, Brains McLeod. If anyone hasn't seen his film, you've got to go and see it.
California Scheming. We were at the pleasure of seeing it opening weekend. Brilliant movie.
Yeah.
Exhilarating, exciting. You want to give a plug?
Well, yeah, check it out on Amazon Prime, all that stuff.
Is it on
Apple.
Amazon Prime now?
Yeah, it's on the streaming services now in the UK, but it's going to be launching in the States on October 9th. So yeah, that'll be dope. So Ariane can see it, and all our other US Spurs people can get checking it. But one of the things that stuck with me from that night, obviously we went to Slim Jim's afterwards.
Yeah.
And Sim turning the Keller's track into the De Zerbi chant at the end. That stuck with me. Like I was like, oh man, we've got to make that a real chant. That is an insanely good chant. I can't stop hearing it now. Every time I'm thinking of it.
We've got to get it going in the South Stand, 100%.
Absolutely.
We got to get them playing Mr. Brightside over the loudspeakers after the game. Forget this Free From Desire. Get Mr. Brightside on, and we can all shout Desire.
And it's the last part of Mr. Brightside, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Thought you were about to say forget all these angels.
No, not angels. No, we have to have angels. Please, no, we can't give that up. Oh.
We need some angels. We need some intervention right now. That's what we need.
Gav. How have you been feeling since Saturday? You've have it 48 hours for it to simmer and sit with you and process.
Yeah.
How are we feeling about Saturday now?
It's definitely not like the game that you should be like, you shouldn't be like thinking it's all doom and gloom. But it is just more
some people in the WhatsApp group were thinking that.
It was definitely a bit of a shock just because we're like so pumped. You know, you want to be pumped up for the start of the season and stuff, and also like obviously everyone's mates are ripping into us, you know, because of, you know, and I, honestly in the morning I was just ripping into my Man United friends, just going, oh look at this, you guys were talking, and then bang, we get battered 3-0. It was like, what was that? Yeah, so it was a tough day. Oh, there he is.
Welcome, Si, to the panel.
Oh, finally. Here we go.
Talk about an angel. Look at the spectre of beauty.
And it's
looking
in the
like a ghost
room.
in the day.
Apologies. As exciting as my view is right now, I'm sat on the sofa with my leg up. So then the sun's decided to come through the big door. So I am now the Tottenham medical angel.
The ghost of Tottenham's medical past.
I hope you're all well. It's great to be here.
It's good to have you back on, Si.
Good.
All right, Brains. What were you saying?
Yeah, so I think it's not like it's obviously this game's not going to be that relevant in terms of, you know, like starting lineups and stuff, but I think what it does do is it brings you down to reality. For me, I was always a little bit like, look, if De Zerbi can come in, obviously he's kept us up. If he can get his style of play, and I just thought all pre-season was just going to be whoever's playing, just get the system down, so that it didn't matter who comes in, because like obviously with players coming back from the World Cup, with new players coming in, it makes it so complicated because you've got an ever-changing squad. Players are going out the door. It just feels like a complete waste of a preseason, because we did kind of start to see De Zerbi ball like in the second last game, Hoffenheim, and then you're going, oh, okay, this looks pretty good. And then first day, how did it just completely disappear? Right? It's like completely disappear. So you would think they're all in the squad, they're all training it, they're all going through the same drills. How is it completely gone? Just because obviously, you know, you don't expect to win that game. You've got like so many new starters, so many debuts. You've got a lot, like 4 kids who are probably not going to be mainstays. So you're obviously at a hiding to nothing for sure. But to have no identity, to have no like urgency, to have that dead a performance, that was kind of like, it wasn't like, oh, this is going to be a bad season. It was just like, wow, this is going to take quite a lot of time to bring 9 new players up to speed, to like get the system, which is a dangerous system, It's very dangerous. You've got to be so fast to get to the positions. One-touch football's got to be on play all the time. If a team turns up in any way just ready to press, like they're going to press in the Zerbi ball, then you're just going to ship goals. And I just didn't think it was going to be that obvious. The types of goals that we lost were going to be so like, yeah, this is how you will lose goals. It's like Bergvall turning in the half space right into a player, or like not turning, but trying to ball roll around a player. It's just like, I don't know what you guys think, but did you guys think? Because I heard Barnaby saying, like, do you think? Because some of these decisions for the starting lineup, to play young players, to put a kid as your captain on the day, when you've got like multiple other potential captains there, like some of these things, to have Bergvall in the kind of 6-8 transition. Do you think some of these decisions were De Zerbi kind of going, look, I'll throw them in because I want to know now if they're going to sink or swim. I've got to know now. Like, there's no point, he wants to be a big player. He wants to go other places. I want to see now if he can do it or catch you later. So he's like risked that, knowing that he most likely was going to fail.
Well, he kind of said it, didn't he? He said it in his press conference after. He's like, I knew Bergvall was going to struggle more than maybe a Bentancur would in this game. But he said kind of, I can't remember the excuse he kind of used. He said, essentially he's saying Bergvall's young. He's going to need this time to kind of learn. He said those 2 moments he gave the ball away, he said in 2 years' time he won't be making those mistakes. So
what do you guys think of that? In 2 years' time, it's like, mate, Premier League starts now.
Or for the next 2 years or something.
It feels like he treated this game as a pre-season game. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like, yeah. And I didn't like it. But I want to go back to what you were saying before on the style of play and not being able to see too much of a style of play. And I think that does. Obviously, we're not there yet. We're nowhere near there yet in terms of where we want to be. But when you go into the season with so many issues, pre-season was absolutely whack. I liken it a bit to Ange. When Ange first came in, you saw that distinct style of play from pre-season into the start of the new season. But as soon as a few injuries started to come and the team got decimated, that style of play I felt completely went. So when things are off it, when the players are not fit, when some of the players hadn't had a significant part of pre-season, Senesi had only played 45 minutes in pre-season or something. There are so many issues going into this pre-season. So I just felt like, we just were nowhere near ready for the season. And with so many issues, it was impossible to see that distinct style of play. And on top of that, Brentford was so much more fitter than us. They were able to hound us down in every single situation on the pitch. They dominated us in every area of the pitch possible.
Yeah, we probably played. If you're looking in the Premier League right now, it's probably top 5 worst opponent right now you'd want to face in our situation. Considering nine of the teams have new managers, a lot of other teams also got upheaval and unsettled. If we were playing another team in a similar situation, it probably wouldn't have been as bad. But the fact that we're playing a really solid Brentford side who might well compete for Europe this season, people always look at their name and underrate them, but they're a good team. They're a very good team. And if you're ever off there, they'll hit you. If you ever off your game, they'll beat you.
Just want to bring Sai in. Sai, what's your take on it? Why did Spurs look so bad, and why did we not see any distinct style of play?
Well, I think there's an element that everything is still quite early, but you're throwing in, I don't know how many players was it, four or five that haven't played together properly yet in a real competitive environment. So I think, generally speaking, most fans, not just Tottenham fans, we all get excited about friendlies and things that go on through the summer period. We get very enthused about it. We see certain individuals performing very well, but then when you add the pressure to it and the intensity, like Gavin just mentioned earlier about the intensity aspect, is really important. That's when you're truly tested. So I always take these friendlies and stuff with a pinch of salt. What really matters is how you perform in front of a proper stadium, a filled stadium with good passion and energy. And a lot of them I mean, that whole team on the weekend just looked like they've never seen each other before. They didn't know what to do, and that was quite surprising, really. I thought it would be tricky. I wasn't expecting answers straight away, but these guys, it just looks so alien. And I think you could argue to an extent, has De Zerbi got all the players that he needs yet? The answer is no. We know that's why we're still in the market looking for those. So I think we it's one of those where we have to have a bit of patience, but we're also still tarnishing everything with what's been going on for God knows how long as Spurs fans. So it's really difficult as a fan to think positively after the weekend, and not think too irrationally. Where okay, it's the first game, we've got to step into this and see how we build like moving forwards. So there are things that we have to do as fans to, be a bit more patient with this. We've given patience to many other things within the club for a long time, so we should try and do that with this. But these players, I'm struggling still, and I know there's been loads of arguments and topics about this in various different WhatsApp groups. I'm still struggling to see those really high key players that we have in the team that can take us to the next level. When I say the next level, I'm not talking about 17th to go up to a hopeful 12th. I'm talking about getting us to the levels where we should really be. Let's just say top 6 for now. So there's a big journey to be had for that, of course. But I'm not trusting some of these players that have come in just yet, and we need a lot more. It's going to take time, but we have to have these players come in. I'm not majorly convinced about the ones that you're mentioning with City and stuff. I think we're still talking about maybe slightly above average players, maybe better than last season, but we've still got players in our team where I'm like, what are we doing? Why have these players not been moved on yet?
Like who? Who, Si?
Well, certainly up front, my friend. Richarlison, Solanke, to an extent, from my perspective, is there's too many injured players in the team that are going to be injured for a lot longer than we think. Whether that's right now or they'll be coming back and they will sustain injuries from other bodily parts because they're not used to playing on a regular basis. So you've got players like that not necessarily being fully replaced. I think that's a bit unfair when I see my situation right now. You can't really do much about it, but at the end of the day, this has gone on for a long time. You've got players then like Richarlison. I know Saar is on the verge of potentially moving and things like that. They're the kind of players where I'm sat there going, I haven't seen anything different from you. Like, you all have very good, friendly pre-seasons. We all get very excited about it. This player looks good. This player looks great. Oh, brilliant. Fantastic. You played very well against Hoffenheim at Hotspur Way. Fantastic. Have a sticker. Then we come to the actual equation of playing professional, top-quality football. They're falling over all over the place, can't put a string of passes together. And this isn't, this is identifiable not just in one game. We're talking about something we've seen for a long, long time. And to Gavin's alluded to this, why are we doing this right now? Why have we not sorted all this out at the beginning? Like, not all of these players were at the World Cup, by the way. All of them differing about on holiday, this, that, and the other. And we're now all these stars.
There's moving parts to it, right? You need teams to be able to take up those players. Obviously, there's not been
of course you do.
too much interest.
But then you can look at many other clubs that are. I'm not saying this disrespectfully because we finished 17th last season, so essentially we're amongst them. But there's a lot of teams out there that have done very good business for players that we probably never even heard of, for very good residual values of money that have got a good return on investment. I mean, it's only one game in, but some of those players are already showing that they're very high potential and value. Whereas the players we brought in decided to either fall over all over the place or not know how to pass to each other. So as I said, there are pressures, there are things we have to be patient on, but there is always an answer to these things. And that comes down ultimately to the recruitment, the scouting mechanism that we've got. Not going for players that I personally think are just above average, that we already know about in the Premier League. I'm talking about going to find those unique talents out there. There are plenty of them because everyone else can seem to find them. But we always either end up overpaying for nonsense or underpaying for nonsense? Where is our medium ground here? So
Yeah, but Si, what I would say to that, I mean, I'm sure the players that you're talking about are Solis and Sangare of Brentford, who both look fantastic in the opening game. Obviously, they're both coming into very settled teams. Arsenal, the champions, Champions League final. Brentford, I think it's one of the only signings that they made. They're replacing Jordan Henderson. So they can afford to take a risk. We're trying to rebuild the whole team and trying to bring in Premier League proven players to go from 17th to go to a potential European fight. So we need kind of sure things that can come in, hit the ground running in our team. And I get we didn't hit the ground running in the first game, but that is supposed to be the idea. And that is why we've gone down this route, and Arsenal and Brentford are able to go down that route.
But I think
that's what I was saying about the patience thing.
I was just going to say, Si, that the thing is, and just on that point that Ben was saying there, it's like this is the kind of very meaning of a difficult rebuild here now because we finished 17th, we all go, we need so much change, we need so many players out, we need so many players in, and when you do that, the task is so huge. And so
it very rarely works, does it, Gav? When you make so many signings, it very rarely does work immediately.
It just increases the amount. Say if you bring in 5 players, there's a weekly value on bringing all 5 up to speed. Now, obviously, you need all 5 to be the exact type of 5 players to fit the positions you need, right? It gets exponentially more difficult when it's above a certain amount. So we obviously go, look, we finished 17th, we got to tear everything down, start again. Okay, well then. I think now, from seeing that performance and seeing how completely ridiculous we've failed again, falling to the pressures of being a top 6 team where you got to do these tours all over the world, making your players travel from World Cups to across the other part of the world, putting so much pressure on their bodies, doing one training session in an open stadium, then going to another city, and then and it's just like. De Zerbi would not have liked that, but he's now had to do it. So in amongst all that traveling, in amongst all the buying of players in, people coming in all the time, then new players, then like existing players coming back, you can't do anything. It's so confusing to build anything, right? Like, and so now you're sitting there going, right, we've got all these players, and we're kind of struggling to see which some players do they even fit. We're stuck with players like Gallagher, who doesn't fit the system. Obviously, he's brought in before De Zerbi. You've got the misusage of Bergvall because he's not really a guy who's going to come and take danger around him. He's got someone who's better on the front foot. Like, you've got a whole bunch of Archie Gray playing him in right back. He doesn't want to play there. He'd probably rather just wait for his chance in the middle. If you weren't going to play Bentancur because he's not fit or whatever, maybe Archie Gray was someone you could have played centrally. You've got Souza, you could play right back. He has a full back. You've got players who can understand position stuff. So I think there's so much going on with the difficulties of like how we've messed up that we're bringing in a lot of players. So my whole point here is I think we're going to have to be very realistic about where we actually are. And it might look like on paper we've got like big names coming in, and we've got you look at the squad, you go, oh, look at this, but it's like it only looks good if Matters comes back and is 100% fit. It only looks good if Kudos is it only looks good if you can recover Kulu. If you can't get those players back, then like Si was saying, how many game-changing players do we actually have? You need a 10 who can turn the game on its head. You need players who can actually, like Savinho might be a very good bums off seat dribbler, but he is really just no end product so far. So he has an unknown. So you've got the players we're buying in are not 100% proven. Van Hecke, you think he's 100% proven, works with De Zerbi. Then he comes in and looks like he can't stand on his feet. He's getting beaten in the air by a small player. It's like you think you've got this squad building, and then you look at it and you go, God, we're actually way, way further back than we thought we were. The getting the style of play going is going to take for ages. We've got square pegs and round holes in certain positions in the squad. We've got fitness issues that are like complete unknowns because Kudus has had surgery in a muscle. That means that the cut would have been close to bone connection. So that means he required that. Normally, you never take a surgery in a muscle because it's just a big chance of it never getting better. So like you've got him who's a complete unknown. Madison picks up a shoulder injury on Saturday. It's it's like
Yeah.
I think that we've waited on doing the attacking signings because we wanted to see the club probably wanted to see whether they're people who they're assets who they've got a lot of money embedded into the investment of these players. They probably wanted to see whether they would be back in time, and they're not. And thinking about bringing in an injured player now or coming back from an injury to this mess when you're trying to get the I think you've got so long to go, regardless of De Zerbi might be like a magician. I think the reality is we might spend half a season just getting this into some sort of form where it starts to look right and players are embedded, partnerships are built, and we're not coming away from every game going, oh my God, this guy can't kick a ball. So I just think it's going to take a lot of time, and our expectations are going to have to be extremely measured now.
But Gav, there's a lot of teams in that way
in that boat.
In that boat.
Yeah.
So if even within that context, Brentford, we had probably 3 of our starting 11 players playing. So if you get we're going to get hopefully Savinho, Marmoush. We're going to get Mateus Fernandes starting. Van der Ven's going to come back soon. Porro's going to come back soon. All of a sudden, that team is going to look a lot stronger. And when you're playing against teams who are also in a similar boat to you, where they're also not quite up to speed, and it's going to be quality who wins out, hopefully we'll win enough games, even within that context, to keep us challenging until we get to where we're fully firing, which is hopefully, obviously down the line, that will happen. So, I mean, I guess I know what you mean. The expectation is really heightened now that we spent all this money and everyone's like, we got to get Champions League, top 4. But I still think there's a good chance we could be in that conversation, because how many teams are guaranteed to be a lot better than us this season, as the season goes on until that second half of the season? There's not that many teams you're banking on. Everyone seemed to, I know we struggled more than most, but everyone did seem to struggle this opening weekend. Man United lost to Hull, and that's a whole team that were bottom, that shouldn't even got promoted really. They were really poor in the Championship. Man United, actually, look at their team, it was pretty close to what you would expect to be a first choice Man United team as well. And yet they're losing away to a Hull City side who are nowhere near as good as Brentford. And they've got their own struggles. Carrick's probably also been in the job longer than De Zerbi. So, and they're also not getting off the mark. A lot of teams this weekend really struggling to find their form opening weekend. So I'm not too worried about taking our time yet. I think a lot of teams are.
Our situation and go, how many teams have like 9 players? Say we get Savinho, Marmoush, and maybe a Gakpo or whatever. If we don't get a Gakpo, we want some deadline day striker or whatever. But so then how many teams have 9 players to bring up to speed and a style of play which is very risky and like renowned, but renowned also for going wrong if you don't get it right, So how many players have that? Whereas how many teams have that? Whereas what you are seeing, which is also very advantageous and kind of a lot of teams, you look at like just the signings. A lot of teams who were settled made maximum like 3 signings, and and they're like at 20, 30 million. They were just like kind of propping up certain positions. They had their full pre-seasons, and most of them actually only did like 2 pre-season games, as in they want to like get things drilled, fitness. You know how physically demanding the Prem is when it gets going. So I look at our situation where we're kind of like starting to try to rush. It feels like there's this thing that we're going to maybe try rush Kudus back, and we're dying to hear what's happening with Kulu, and Madison's in and he's picking up things like what Sai says. When you come back from, you'll see like he's so desperate to play. He's definitely overdoing it. He's going to rush himself. He's going to pick up more injuries. So I just think that we've got like so many situations involved in this like hard rebuild that a lot of other teams don't have. They've just like picked up an Enciso here or like a Sangara there. Like they've just picked up these really clever signings, and they've spent their pre-seasons getting fit and ready to go, and then like maybe it's like us and like Man United and other teams have just had a lot of players away at World Cups, and And we've just got so much to do, and the expectation's so high on us. So like already, you lose one game, and the fans are all going, "Oh, I can't believe this again," and all the memes start. The pressure for us as Spurs is so much higher than all these teams. So like Brighton, Brentford, they can all work in the dark.
Yeah. They can lose a game, an opening game weekend, and no one really notices. Yeah, if us, it's back pages, isn't it? Right in front.
You've got to block out all that noise and just stay on your track, do your work behind the scenes, and it will get better. I have no doubt about it that it will get better. I firmly believe a lot of what we saw against Brentford was a fitness issue, and that's a problem in itself. Like, why are we going into the first season like completely unfit? I mean, I think it's a bit ridiculous, to be honest, but
I don't understand how that even happened. Like, how does that even happen? Because we see all the training videos week in, week out, and De Zerbi's been quite on point with that. Most of the players came back early, with the exception of the ones that were playing in the World Cup. They just looked absolutely shattered at the weekend, like they had literally played 2 days before. Is it, like Gavin said, is it because of all the tours and everything? I mean, other clubs do that, of course, but maybe we have a few more here and there than other clubs do. I couldn't believe it when I saw it at the weekend. How slow and sluggish everyone was. There's no energy. The passion thing is one thing. You can I'm sure they all cared, but like that whole energy aspect was ridiculous. I don't know how that even happened.
Onto your point, Si, De Zerbi said after the game that Van Hecke, Senesi, and Tonali weren't completely ready for this game, or weren't really physically up to it. Van Hecke and Senesi, maybe you can say that they were at the World Cup and so they haven't had much. But even then, the other players played the World Cup this weekend and looked a lot better. Yeah. But anyway, Tonali, why the hell would Tonali not be physically ready for this weekend?
Makes no sense.
He's not had the World Cup. He's been training with Tottenham since the start of pre-season. He's played pretty much every pre-season game. I can't remember too many he missed. He didn't miss any. He pretty much played every pre-season game. So what excuse could there possibly be for Tonali not to be physically ready for this game? I think
it's a lot of them, though. I think it's not even just those three. I think they were all. I'm
just saying those are the ones he earmarked. Those are the ones that De Zerbi earmarked after the game. So, but when he earmarked Tonali, how was that possibly possible?
I think he was deflecting to an extent, like deflecting the observation that most people had and could clearly see that the whole team looked unfit, and just maybe going, if I branch on these three, people will focus on this a bit more and go, oh yeah, no, that makes sense actually why the whole rest of the team decided to be as slow as they did as well. But we're not stupid, so we can see it, through those vines. I think it's I'm kind of on Ben's side to say we need to give this a lot more time. This may be a one-off, but there were some very strange things I saw in that game where I'm immediately questioning everything. And I thought I could have a really nice summer of relaxation and zen of all of this and come back with a very nice portfolio of players and a relaxing ethos of good football in front of me. And it went completely out the window. I need another holiday now. It was literally I didn't understand what was going on.
You're not proper Spurs unless you're immediately questioning everything after one defeat.
Exactly. That's
it. Going to be calling in from the train station in the fan show soon.
Right? Yeah. It's crazy. But in all seriousness, I was like, this is we went backwards a year or something.
There is one thing I've been thinking about since the game that does actually really concern me and actually could undermine the whole project when you really think about it.
This is becoming a therapy session right now.
I want to just speak about it. There is one thing I've been thinking about. There's one thing that actually I think there's a lot of stuff.
Been questioning all his life decisions.
Yeah,
since
exactly.
That game.
I think so. All the positivity I've been admitting, I'm now questioning it, but. I think there's a lot of reasons to think that Saturday was going to be a one-off and, we're not going to see that level of shitness basically throughout the season. But there's one thing that did happen in the game and that I'm worried that won't massively improve. And that's the physicality, not the fitness of the team. I'm talking about the physicality and the strength of the team. How we were so bullied from set pieces, long balls, all that kind of stuff. Now, I look at who was playing and I look at who's coming into the team. We're talking about Savinho, we're talking about Marmoush, we're talking about Fernandes, you're talking about Van de Ven, you're talking about Porro. Obviously, these are good players. I'm not disputing that, but these aren't massively more physical players who are going to be massively more dominant from set pieces or helping us out that much more than what we saw. Obviously, we got Mikey Moore, who's, you've got to take him out, and players like that. Like James Maddison as well, for example, putting him in the team. Like, now, set pieces is such a massive thing now. Unfortunately, I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that there's such importance on how physical your team has to be in modern day Premier League. But it is just the reality that we have to contend with. And I hear De Zerbi talking about his philosophy of football and his style of football. He models his game on Pep Guardiola's Barca and the tiki-taka and all this kind of stuff. And I love that. That's the football I love to see. That's how I do want to see Spurs playing. But is it the football that is currently working in the Premier League in 2026? That's the question we've got to ask ourselves. Physicality has never been more important in Premier League in this current season. And I'm looking at the team we're building, and as much as we've got lots of very good players, lots of very good footballers, and I like the team that we're building, I do have a major concern about whether it's all going to be undermined if we can't physically compete against modern day Premier League teams. And if we're going to play all this pretty football, we're going to score lovely goals, but then it's just going to be constantly undermined by conceding set pieces and stuff like that we can't seem to control because we don't physically have the players to do it. I look at Arsenal and they have built a physically monstrous team. That is like their number one thing that they've made sure they have in their team is just physical monsters. And I'm looking at the team, and our physical monster is supposed to be Van Hecke, right? He's come in as a 6'4" big centre-back, and he's getting bullied by Kevin Schade in the Brentford team. They were just pumping long balls into our back line, and time and again, they were coming out second best to the Brentford front line. And I'm just looking at the players that we're looking to come into the team, we're waiting for, and they don't seem massively physically imposing. And that's a concern that I do have. That I do have with this project. What do you think about that?
I can't believe that after looking at the defenders, if you look at our defense now, you're like, whoa, okay, like look at these guys that you could put together, right? Even though it's a little bit lopsided because probably the two best kind of overall defenders are Senesi and Van de Ven, but they're not both left-footed. Is Senesi bipedal? Can he play with right? But you're 100% right. You either have elite level strength so you can boss and win the battles, and then in certain areas you either have elite level speed. So Newcastle, their attack had elite level speed the other day, and they murdered. Like the two Liverpool defenders they had are known for being big, strong physical guys, and they murdered them. They just got in behind them every few seconds. They just counterattacked on them and murdered them with pace. But if you don't have that pace and good finishing and other things, then you need people to win the midfield battle. You need to fight in the half space. You need to have all your fundamentals down. And it's so then you look at those places and you go, wow, like Tonali is a strong player. So you got his strength. That's why I was looking at it going, God, how could we be coming out of the first game going, Danzo should have played? What? What have we done? Bentancur should have started. It's like we've spent money on these, and we're going, these players who were in our team when we're ending 17th had to start. It's like, well, then we've done dreadful in the market.
It's not about doing dreadful in the market. It's about horses for courses, and Bentancur's still a good player. We were obviously struggling aerially, and Danso's our best aerial defender. So when you're working your way into the season and when you know you're not physically ready for the game, don't start a Bergvall who's left a gaping hole in the middle of the park the week before. Play a Bentancur, give that back four a bit more protection, and maybe even play a Danso that can wing balls in the air, because none of our defenders were able to do that on the weekend. I wasn't calling for Danso to start before the game, but I was calling for Rodrigo Bentancur to start before the game. I thought it was a recipe for disaster to play Lucas Bergvall in the middle, and that's exactly what came to pass. But in hindsight, maybe Kevin Danso was a better player to go for in this game with how we got dominated in the air.
What you gain with aerial and ability and strength with Danzo, you absolutely lose with his feet, because he's got.
But we
two
didn't
left
have that
feet
anyway. We didn't have that
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, no, that's how bad the situation is.
But forget about that. I'm just saying, looking at the team that we're building
Overall,
overall,
strength is a
even
problem.
with players that we expect to come in and be our first choice, is it physically imposing enough in general? Do we think is that an issue? Is that a potential issue?
I think you're relying on those kind of players that are coming in. Again, I'll reiterate, I don't think they're like super amazing. Maybe slightly better than what we got currently. They are players that are at their feet and they may have a bit of pace about them. Will they be ones to go and track back and win balls back? Probably not. So you have to really, focus in on that central mid area, which I still think we're very. I was surprised personally that Paulinho didn't get a contract with us because he shows a lot of bite. He shows a bit of aggression in there. A ball winner, can push it forwards. The other players like Bentancur and all that, I think they're very gifted, talented players, but I think they win balls in a clever way. I don't think they win balls in a physical way, and that's something that we're missing significantly. A lot of our players are maybe clever in certain instances, but that doesn't always wash. And like what Sims alluded to with all these players that we do we have anyone in the team right now that can be the kind of warrior aspect of it that I think is missing, and not so much the style of play, but that physicality. I can't see it. I can't see any player that I could say, oh, that guy's a unit, or like he's going to win the ball like indefinitely, absolutely, without breaking his leg or falling over or whatever it might be. I don't see any. So I think that's going to be a big imbalance throughout the season, because I do think majority of the teams now have a really strong physicality and we do not. You could argue even United are in a similar principle. They have fairly dainty players, good on the ball, obviously very talented, but that doesn't go well against teams like Brentford, Brighton, all of these ones that we keep mentioning.
Yeah, but you mentioned
Yeah.
Manchester United. Since Carrick has come in, nobody in the Premier League has picked up more points from them. So it's not like you can't win points on a regular basis.
But they
Right.
didn't. They won the points not playing the football that we're trying to play. You know what I mean?
That's
They
what I
won
mean.
it.
So,
They won
like,
it
we're
playing
trying-
counter-attacking football, like
We're
quick
trying to go
players
two
on the
avenues.
break. You
A couple-
can. Yeah,
Yeah.
go on, Si.
No, I was saying, like, there's different avenues of it, and then I think that's where we're open to the debate of, like, what is De Zerbi trying to achieve here? He's obviously, asking for these kind of players, so he knows he wants to play this way, but
Yeah.
is that definitively the right way, based on what everyone else is doing? Because you could have 10, 11 fantastic, gifted footballers like at the feet, as when I mean footballers, I mean the way that they play and style wise. But if you're playing the likes of Brentford and all this lot that are just going to go at you and put you under that obscene pressure, which they do, we're going to get stuck. We're going to get stuck.
We're
It's
going to
the
get
same on
stuck.
ground.
We're going to get stuck only if they have the physical advantage, which definitely on the weekend they did. And it wasn't just fitness; they were stronger.
Yeah,
they had
did-
stronger
did
I
have
players.
don't
four
think
kids
there's
starting
many
the
other
beginning.
teams.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
And
But
I'm saying Savinho and Marmoush isn't going to save that.
better as it progresses. I think Marmoush, Mickey van der Ven, Kudus, Fernandez. I think they are all physical players.
Yeah, Fernandez and Tonali, I'm not worried about.
Yeah.
I'm worried about.
Kudus is physical.
I'm worried about the defense for sure. I'm not saying they're not good enough to win football games. By the way, I'm saying, if we're building a project, I'm looking at the project for the long term in terms of, can I see this project challenging for a title one day? That kind of element. I'm not saying maybe we can compete for Europe and all that kind of stuff. I'm saying when I'm looking at who's obviously winning the league at the moment, what's their massive advantage? Is their physicality. That is the thing that obviously they got the technicality as well. Don't get me wrong. They marry both really well. But they're not just competing physically. They're dominant physically.
Yeah.
They're not just strong players. They're the strongest.
But they are
in
the only
players.
team. The only team that are like that.
No, but the Premier League is so physical now. It is so physical. Everyone is.
And it's when we lose a key player. So you could put an 11 together that I think you could kind of bypass some of these problems, right? You could go, oh, okay, this is strong, right? This is strong. Even if you did like Tonali and Fernandez as the eights, and Bentancur because he's just the most calm, getting the ball out from the back. Then you might struggle with creativity or whatever. But you could put a team together. It's like, okay, well, this could be your first team, and it bypasses those problems if you're coming up against a physical team. But then what happens when just one or two in the certain areas of these players get injuries?
Is what we already had.
Then you're having to go back to rely on your Bergvalls or your players in areas that are just not physically strong. And then you're looking at last season going, wow, like how many games did we actually have to play with a kind of second string team out? And it was I thought we were one of the least physical teams in the league. You know?
And what can happen, Gavin, as well from that is if you've got reliance on maybe 2 or 3 individuals rather than the whole team, that extra pressure can then therefore increase the risk of them getting injured as well. So some of these players, like I've said for a few seasons now, there are some players that do double or triple the work because the others don't know how to do it or don't want to do it. And I'm concerned at this moment in time, like if you look at the Brentford situation, I could probably imagine if we played Brighton at the weekend, we'd probably have a similar outcome that we did like Villa did, in all honesty. Because we don't have that ability to stop anything at the moment, like all of that onslaught and the physicality aspect. So I think if you think about Kudus, I don't think he's a great example because I don't even remember the last time he played. And when he does come back, it's not going to be everything's
he won't be the same.
Things will happen. It's exactly the same with Van de Ven. It's exactly the same. Kulusevski, you may as well write off for probably another half of the season, realistically, from a performance perspective. The excitement, the aura around it is great, but the physicality is not that. Maddison is pretty much the same. Xavi, you can pretty much write him off for the whole season. So you've got a load of creative players there. Arguably, Kulusevski is slightly physical. Kudus is physical, but I'm not relying on them because I don't think they're going to be playing enough games this season. So you could think about Tonali and Fernandez, but they're going to have so much pressure absorbed on them because they're doing double or triple the work and they will get injured by probably December. And then what do we talk about? Because we don't have anyone else after that. We're relying on 2 or 3 players right now.
The main problem for me is our defenders don't seem aerially dominant.
That's the main issue. Problem. It's not the sheer physicality of the squad. I think it is an issue, but it's not a big issue in my opinion because I do think we do have physical players, and I do think at prime fitness and as we walk away into the season, you'll see that. But there's nobody in our whole squad that's aerially dominant.
That in 2026 is a massive issue.
Yeah, 100%. That is the issue. It's not the physicality.
Well, especially if you try to put 2 6'4" defenders on the pitch who can play ball, and should be aerially dominant. Like there's no excuse for you not to be, and they're not. That's weird.
And then you marry that up as well with Kinski, and I like Kinski, but he's not like the most commanding keeper.
No,
he's not a keeper that's like Ray, who's going to come and claim every cross.
They're all at the feet players. That's what I mean. They're all at feet players. Yeah, that's
they are. And Brentford were completely shameless and relentless in just pumping those long balls into them. And every time they were winning those, either winning the first ball for the flick on or winning that second ball. We're supposed
to have players up front that can do that, but they seem to be more interested in lying on the floor. Again, the physicality perspective, what are you doing? You're just wasting time.
I think the hope would be long term, as we get to grips with De Zerbi ball, we're very good at keeping the ball, keeping possession. That we restrict the opposition from opportunities to do that, to just continue to pump the long balls into us, and we're the ones dictating it. And the problem with what happened on Saturday is not only were we dominated physically, but they were better on the ball than us as well. Like they were the ones playing the football. I think for the first half an hour we had 30% possession. I think it was for the first half an hour of that game. So not only were we out battled, we were out footballed. Now hopefully down the line we're not going to be out footballed.
Yeah.
But will the fact that other teams might be able to aerially dominate us, will that continue to undermine us throughout the season? That's one worry that I don't think necessarily just goes away with new players coming in. That's the worry I've got.
I think all those worries are semi-linked. They're all a massive kind of tower of problems that keep knocking onto the next one, because The physicality thing is an issue. If your defenders are defending, your defenders are going to look so bad if the ball keeps coming back at them.
Also
If
true. Yeah.
your midfield, you're creative and all your kind of front four, kind of attacking midfield and front line, if none of them can hold the ball up or do anything that causes the opposition any kind of threat, you're just going to get dominated and you're going to lose faith through the game. So everyone in the deeper positions is just going to they're going to crumble the more that they're looking up and their players can't do anything. So obviously, that's why like this physicality thing is the reason why Gallagher's getting in the team a lot. Obviously, Madison's going to take so long to get his physicality up to the standards. And so Gallagher's always in there, but then you're playing with a player who's just in no way creative. He doesn't swivel. He doesn't look. He does nothing creative in terms of like how to get the ball spread. So like, what's the point playing with fast wingers? There's just no way in. So like, I've always thought we are killing Bergvall because I just don't find him to be an 8 or a 6. Every time I've ever seen him go in to the half spaces and try to do a one-touch turn, or he always wants to do something clever because that's the way his brain has been wired his entire life. He's a baller, right? He's a tricky baller. But he's also physical, right? So then he's the player that you should have in the 10, and you should be teaching him. Matter should be working with him. The creative players should be working with him to use his kind of creativity that he wants to do all the time. Like the goal he scored against Liverpool, turning up late into the ball. If you see him ever doing great things, it's always around opposition's box. It's never in the half spaces going backwards. Some players just are not built to do it. When you come to the UK and you play in academies, they tell you early, like trying to ball roll out of the half space. Are you nuts? Like that's one of the fundamentals. You say no, you get that out of players who play
I actually disagree with that. I think when he was playing at his best under Ange, it was always kind of near the halfway line. That's when he was doing his best work, a little bit deeper.
Halfway line and up. Like you don't want him going,
agree. It wasn't in his own half,
Yeah, into the half spaces where our opponent's coming over the shoulder so you can't see, and you've got your information from your defenders or the goalkeeper has to be so good. Obviously that's tough right now. But like you have to have like when you see like
I don't think he's creative enough to be a 10. I think the 8 is his best position.
But I think this is because since he's been here, he's been playing in the kind of like a box to box, and then box to box responsibilities. If you see like Fernandez, he's so much better because he's played here. He understands it. He's so much better at going into dangerous positions and knowing do not do this, do not do that. Even Archie Gray's better at it because he's come through UK like academies where they wipe out. There's non-negotiables of things you do not do. And the problem with Bergvall is I've actually seen him do this. That the ball roll he does, his shoulders are too far back. He's got no confidence in winning that, and he loses the ball easy. I've seen him do that. I've seen him and Sarr lose the ball in a half space and immediately just lose goals. And I just think that's why Sarr's not been playing deeper whenever he's played. That's why Sarr's always up in the 10 because he is a liability. So he may as well use some of his assets because he's got a better aerial, the spatial awareness. And I think some of those things are some of the things that you can train into Bergvall that would get a way better return from him. I just don't think in this Premier League, for the way we play, especially how they're going to have to play De Zerbi ball, I don't think he's suited to be in those dangerous areas.
But everything that you mentioned there is a coaching thing, and a top coach can get those traits in him and can get that out of him. And I think De Zerbi is the perfect manager to be able to do that. Everyone looks at Bergvall quite negatively at the moment, and I think a lot of it is to do with bad coaching from last season. Frank was playing him here, there, everywhere on the wing, in the 10. I think anywhere apart from where his best position is, in my opinion, which is the 8, where his best performances came under Ange Postecoglou. Last season was a backstep in his development because of the coaching that he had. He needs a good coach to work on him day in, day out on the training pitch.
Do you know what that is, though? Is that players who come from other countries and they haven't had enough time in academies where there's non-negotiables, like at the highest level in the first team, a coach is not going to stand there and baby you and talk to you about non-negotiables that you should know by now. They just don't do it. They're not going to give you that time. You've got 20, 30 players to worry about. They're not going to go up to him and go, you've got these physical requirements. You are this type of player. You should be able to play in the 8. And then this is how we're going to play. And then he comes in and making those mistakes. Coaches are going to go, I shouldn't have to come over here and tell you not to do that. So I'm saying, like, I do think he's an amazing player. I just don't think he's just not bred into
Yeah, but
what's
De Zerbi
required
would
from him
know
in those
that,
areas.
Brains. De Zerbi would know that. You know, he's watched him at close quarters. He's seen what he did against Hoffenheim. He's now seen what he did against Brentford. He even spoke after the game about the flaws that he has, and he would have struggled in this game. So I don't think De Zerbi's under no illusion of the type of play he's picking up, and
Yeah,
that
you're
he's
right.
convinced to stay as well.
I think that's what De Zerbi was sort of hinting at. He was like,
Yeah,
these things that he does when he gets caught like that, he won't do under me. And I'm kind of like,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm
That's
like,
what I'm
okay,
saying.
but like, it is still a huge risk. What if he's just way right now, while we don't have a 10 who can like, one good thing that he can do is when he picks the ball up and turns and goes, he's got a burst of pace that's pretty cool. And he's quite physical that way, like going forward. I think he's an asset there. And I think he's just in a little bit of trouble when he gets into those dangerous areas where you need like an aged, responsible mind to pick up the ball. And I think some people really clown on Bentancur, and I think he is. Sometimes he can be really hot-headed. But if you ever watch him when the ball's coming from the goalkeeper or from a right back or whatever, you'll see before he even calls for the ball, he looks left, right, and then he like turns his body to go that way, but he opens his foot up, and then he can just drop shoulder and go. There's very few players in our squad. This is
Yeah.
the crazy thing. There's very few players in our squad who can do that, and that's
What
crazy to think that we've gone in the market and we really still only really have one kind of like out and out six who can just press suppression and turn like that.
What's
You
your
know.
guys? What was your guys' opinion on him giving Gray the captaincy on Saturday?
I think it was. I think it was a bit crazy, to be honest. I feel bad for Archie Gray to an extent. I can imagine, that obviously, being given a captaincy, you're not going to say no. Like, you're not going to, whimper away from it. He's never going to say no. I think he was put in a really difficult position there. There's obviously some other players that could have taken that off him. I don't think it's a respect thing, because I think players respect each other in that team. But when you're a captain, you're kind of looking at someone, and again, I don't think they're all sitting there going, "Oh, why has he got it? That's a bit stupid." They're going to be behind him and trying to do their best for him. I think, like, sometimes when you do look at a leader, like, psychologically, you're thinking of someone that's either won something or someone you look up to, someone that's appreciative around the dressing room, all that kind of thing. I think there's way too much pressure for him to maybe even concentrate on what he needed to do anyway. And then obviously the performance in general from the team, you saw it after the game when he was coming off, like his head was down, or like when he was coming off. Sorry, it was like really sad to see. And I that for me, I was questioning the manager. I was like, is this guy who I think he is? Like, I don't know. Is this all like theatre? Like, we're used to this Spurs fans being like delusioned for so many years of random things. It was a really big question mark, okay, maybe you couldn't have given it to one of the new ones, but arguably you could say maybe Tonali could have had it, for example, like as a leader style player, for example. It shouldn't be, but Richarlison, arguably, from the extent that he's been at the club for a long time, this and the other, I don't think he should have been captain. Obviously, I'm just making the point that there was probably many other people, for various reasons, that could have been captain ahead of him. That's not to say Archie Gray could not be a captain in the future. I think you need to be stabilised in the team for quite a substantial amount of time, at least, to get that position, or be an experienced player in general, and command that from being given that opportunity. That whole thing about, we need 5-6 captains, blah, blah, blah. I appreciate what you're trying to do in the press conferences and give confidence to everyone. But let's be realistic here. You should have a proper captain, a vice captain, and maybe a third one. Based on our situation, it's really difficult because half our players are injured. But like, there were so many other players that could have been picked on, and I feel really bad for him, because I do think he is a good player, and I think he's going to be great for the future. There's a lot of pressure on him all the time anyway. It was bad points for De Zerbi on that one, in my opinion. But you're not going to turn it down, are you?
It's an absolute ludicrous decision. How can you put Archie Gray as captain, where a lot of fans were saying coming into the season he needs a loan, he needs to get more experience before coming into the team. I mean, Look, I think the obvious candidate was Andy Robertson, and I know I don't really like having a debutant as the captain. But when you're looking at a half-cooked Spurs team, so many players come into it. The captain, Mickey van der Ven, not there. Porro, the vice-captain, not there. And I'm completely fine with De Zerbi's choice to have them as captain, as vice-captain. But if you've got that kind of team leading out, you've got to have Andy Robertson as the captain. He's the only one with the minerals to lead that team.
Yeah. But also, the crazy thing about, honestly, it's such a crazy decision. It's genuinely, I can see why he's doing it, because the club have invested in him, and there's a lot of people in the club who think he's the future captain. Fine, that he's not expecting you to give him any form of captaincy. I think he's trying to prop him up because I'm pretty sure he probably sees real minerals in him. Like this kid could be a leader, but he is a kid until he's 26. He doesn't have fucking fully formed frontal lobes. He doesn't have long-term vision. Like his short-term isn't even fully defined. There's like a metaphysical problem here. So when it comes to stress management, doesn't have it. He's a child still. Like, these are just genuine things. You look, Archie Gray is stoating off at half-time, head down. Robbo is going up to players behind him. He's like, yeah. Information. Yeah. He's a Champions League winner. He's been under every form of stress. So you get that. He knows how to handle it. That's how you pick captains. I would say he should have really been looking at that. Like, one, don't pick any captain who is a potential injury problem, because they're just going to be out, right? You can make a leadership group. You put 6 players in the leadership group. That's all good. But if you want Mickey van der Ven, you go Mickey van der Ven, Pedro Porro, or you go Mickey van der Ven and Robbo. And you go, it's nothing to do with how long you've been here. This is about managing situations on the pitch. You need leaders. Because after you hit that pitch and you could have had all the information, it goes out your head. You've got to then have the belief. You've got to see a player next to you. This guy's telling me something. He's a Champions League winner. I think I'm going to listen to that. This kid over here, I can't even hear his voice. He's saying something, but he sounds like he's so nervous. I'm not going to follow that. I can't believe that decision.
Exactly what you said. Who are you going to listen to? Who are you going to look to as a respectful person that's, you're going to take demands or leadership from someone that's, like Robertson, as you said, Champions League winner, you name it. He's been there, done it. Like, you're going to take commanding decisions from that. You're going to be like, I'm going to listen to you because of what you've done. As I said, they're not going to be disrespectful to Archie Gray, but they're not going to take him maybe as seriously as someone else shouting at you or telling you why you should be doing this and that and the other. And this isn't like, a playground where you're like, what's this guy talking about? You've only been in like 5 minutes. I think they're more professional than that. It was so bizarre and disastrous, and arguably potentially contributed to the whole thing anyway. And I wasn't an advocate of Romero being captain. I don't think he was the greatest leader. He was a great player, but he's not a leader. I was looking around the pitch. Who's shouting? Who's driving the energy? Who's demanding from this team? That's what I see as a leader. Hopefully Van der Ven will be that type of person. I think he's got the ability to do so. Absolutely. Porro, 100%. We talked about this in the WhatsApp group a few weeks ago about who should be captain. But to give it to Archie Gray was an absolute disgrace. And that's not me saying he's not a good player or anything like that. It's like you have put him under the bus, and that put me a big question mark around De Zerbi in general.
Bro, he shouldn't even be in the leadership group. Never mind being captain on the pitch.
He's learning from scratch pretty much. He's been dumped into a Tottenham team that was falling apart. And he hasn't got the experience or the winning mentality or anything.
He's won 13 games in his Tottenham career.
More than I thought, to be fair.
It's
over
scary that
25% win rate when he's started.
But look at the people he picked as captains. So it's like you got Ben Davies, he's never going to play. You got Madison's going to be in and out. You got Pedro Porro, he will play all the time. So Pedro Porro and Mickey van der Ven, that's cool. And then maybe Robbo. If either of those aren't there, then Robbo. That's all you had to do.
If these guys aren't available for Newcastle going and the new guys, what do you put him as captain again? Or do you just dismantle that and give it to someone else, and then you cause an even potential bigger issue? Like, you're just not ready for this,
Yeah,
mate.
do you think with how like players like Robbo and whoever, they're all pretty much everyone on the team, and the more experienced players, when they're we're in the team huddle and Gray's the one giving the team talk, like do you not think they think this is a bit silly, isn't it? Like, but then how do they? Does that make them question what De Zerbi is doing? Like, if
this is
from
the
the
thing,
NG
as a
thing?
fan, you're thinking that. Like, I don't know what the players think, but as a fan, generally at the weekend, I was like, "What's this manager doing?"
I don't think
thought we were
Archie
supposed
Gray
to be
will be doing the
trusting.
team talk. I don't think he'll be doing the team
But
talk.
I'm saying when you do that huddle before the game,
Yeah, I don't think he'll be doing it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't.
But then if
see
you're
it.
captain, you're the guy with the armband's not talking in the team huddle. You're going.
Yeah, but I think that's happened plenty of times at
This guy
Tottenham
here.
where different players are
It
doing
does.
doing
It
the
does.
shouting in the middle. I don't think the captain does it automatically every single
I
week.
personally would be listening to Tonali because I think he'd rip my head off if I didn't listen. Or
Well,
I'd
in
be
that
looking
case,
at
is
Robertson.
the captaincy just a ceremonial thing in this case that shouldn't that doesn't actually?
I think it's just given out willy-nilly these days without any proper thought behind it. To be honest, it's one of those. As I said, as Gavin's rightly said, and Ben said, Robertson was the go-to if you're talking about experience and a leadership quality. Someone who's shouting at people, getting people to get their finger out at rear ends to actually do something on the pitch. That's what I want to see as a fan. I want to see actual energy and passion. I think Porro would be like that. I didn't see that from Romero. I think that was more of a sentimental thing that he was given the captaincy or something. But like Archie Gray, like what's he going to be demanding exactly? Like, am I going to be listening to this? No, not
So,
really.
I think the reality is right. It probably is a bit ceremonial because no player is going to be looking at Archie Gray for inspiration.
No.
It's going to be all eyes when they're looking for inspiration on the pitch, whether it be to lead by example or whether it be to giving the barking orders for confidence and stuff like that. They're all going to be looking to Andy Robertson. That's the reality.
Yeah. But doesn't it like suggest to you, like, I mean, I watched the his post match presser and I was just like,
De Zerbi or Gray? Sorry.
De Zerbi, and the way he said, like, well, I knew this. I knew this guy was in. I knew this guy was. I put this guy there. I knew he was gonna have a bad time. It's like, mate, what are you doing? You might have, but don't say that because now we're all going. Wait, you deliberately put a player who you knew was going to struggle. Like, either you're throwing him in the fire, you want to see him kind of get stronger, or what is this? Like, you've got a perfectly fine player, Bentancur, who was very ready to go. Like, don't mess around with this stuff. Like, as Spurs fans, I don't think any of us walk away from that presser going, yeah, I'm a little bit more confident in De Zerbi. It's like, you're going to allow this stuff to chip away at our confidence in you. Like, don't do that stuff. You've already picked a weird. Some of these decisions, you add them up, and you're like, I hope this doesn't continue. Because this is some weird decision making you've gone for here.
It immediately reminded me of Thomas Frank's "we're going to lose games, that's for sure" kind of mentality. But like, it was. It wasn't.
We can't be comparing De Zerbi to Thomas Frank.
No. But what I'm saying is,
don't mention their names in the same sentence.
You have to be very careful with how you say things and how you do things. It's essentially what Gavin is saying, and it's totally right because fans feed off that, and I'm pretty sure players do to an extent as well. When fans are sitting there going, right, we've had all this very big excitement towards the end of the season, we're starting to pick up points, starting to get a bit more lenient towards what's going to try and achieve here. The summer goes quite well. Couple of players come in, and then bang, we're back as Spurs fans. First game of the season, it's a bloody mess. You're saying shit in the press conference afterwards.
The WhatsApp's gone crazy.
Why are you doing this? Why have you just done this to me? Like, honestly, it makes no sense. The selections, the comments around it. You're just making yourself look like a bit of a fool. I'm going to treat it as a one-off. I'm going to pretend it didn't happen. And I just hope that nothing happens like that in Newcastle because you're dealing with a home crowd that's getting really high on expectations.
Before Newcastle side, what about Wednesday? Charlton at home in the Carabao.
Well, of course that's an opportunity.
They've just beaten West Ham in the Championship. So they're clearly not a terrible team. No. Do we have to go? Do you need us to go full strength? Do you think Wednesday?
I think you need to go full strength. I think you
What
just
is
need
full
to have-
strength?
Yeah, good question. What is a
we
good
don't
question?
have a full strength. That's the problem. Like we can, I think a prime example last season where every week someone was saying something about, oh, we should have played so and so, so and so. It's like, but they're terrible as well. So literally, we're just dealt with a terrible hand each time we try and pick something different. This time is slightly different. I don't think we should be risking any of the key players that we have left, but we need to be respectful to the game. So I'd like to see a bit of a balance. You could argue you go with your best team possible, get that game under the belt by half time, then tweak it around, which is what we should have done with most of our games last year, not mess about, sit on the back foot, let everyone come at us. Let's go and get that game. Then let's decide the changes, not chase the game. So if we can see that, I think that would be highly beneficial. But I think, it is still going to be a difficult game. Whatever league these teams are coming from, it's going to be difficult. So I'd like to see some respect to that. I'd like to see a bit of a balance, but I would like to see a definitive intensity. I don't want to think, oh, this is just
Is there a bit of pressure on this game now after the Saturday's defeat?
Massive.
I think in general for silverware, it's
massive.
every
This is a
silverware
massive game for me.
Pressure.
This is a massive game for me on Wednesday night. There is no reason not to go at full strength for this game on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
We have to win. We can't be going out in the second round of the League Cup. We need to be taking these cup tournaments very seriously, particularly with no European football this season. We're barely going to have 2 games a week to play across the whole season. So there's no reason why we don't go full strength, in my opinion. We have to go as strong as possible.
But Ben, you say like full strength. I mean, I still think he probably plays Bergvall, because I just don't think he wants to. He probably doesn't want to like start with Tonali and Fernandes and risk either.
Yeah, but for this game, that might be full strength. If you know what I mean. I think Brentford.
Yeah.
That wasn't the right thing to play Bergvall because of who you're playing, but it probably is against Charlton. You don't want a double pivot against Charlton at home with Bentancur and Tonali, do you?
No, I also think for Bergvall, I think he should play and he should really go out there and like try have a phenomenal game because he like needs it now. Because like if you get dropped for the Charlton game, it's a compounding this. It's like you kind of and who else you can't throw Matters in because now he's got the shoulder thing. Like you can't risk anyone who's potentially
fragile.
Yeah, you can. And
we don't just have to go full strength because of the importance of the game, but we clearly saw on Saturday that a lot of these players aren't at the fitness levels and they need match practice. Yes. They need minutes. They need to be on the football pitch. So Van Hecke has to play. Senesi has to play. I'll play Robertson at left back. Maybe even a doggy comes in. I'll play. Would you bring in Pedro Porro for this game or save him for the Newcastle game? Probably save Porro for the Newcastle game. Yeah. So Archie Gray comes back in. I would actually drop Bergvall and put Fernandes and Tonali in the midfield. I would.
And who goes?
I'd actually put Luca Williams-Barnett in the 10. I know I'm saying going full strength, but I'll put Luca Williams-Barnett in the 10.
Yeah, I agree with that.
On the left wing, I go Tell. On the right wing, the right wing's a big problem. It's probably Mikey Moore, isn't it? Mikey Moore and sanction his loan move after once we got Savinho and Marmoush through the door. And then you have one of Richie or Solanke up top. And I think that's the team you go for.
Free Dane.
You put Dane Scarlett in.
Free Dane Scarlett from this club. Let him go. Save him.
Yeah.
Don't know about that.
Yeah.
Is that full strength, Si?
No, I'd like to see some of the. I would like to see a bit of a blend of some academy coming in for sure. I think they're the kind of games that you can do that with to an extent. We can't. We went under strength when we were out of Europe under Ange against Fulham, and we saw what I don't think you need to go fully under strength. I mean, I'm talking about 2 or 3 players, but again, the mechanism of put your strong team out, then make the changes towards the end of the game.
Yeah, but these guys need minutes on the pitch to gel into a team.
They do.
They need minutes on the pitch to gel into a team. So I don't think this is just the average League Cup game. This is so important for me. We saw how poor we were. They need to up their fitness, they need to up their physicality, and they need to gel as a team. So we have to go as strong as possible.
But do you think, because the Newcastle game is hovering, it's on the weekend, it's like, think that might predict the team
This
on
is the
Wednesday.
thing. Yeah, exactly.
You know? Because
That's what I'm saying. You have
they're
to
going to view
balance.
that as more important, isn't it?
You
Yeah,
have to
but
balance it.
we should be able to, for this week, go with and hopefully Marmoush, Savinho, we'll see if they're available for Saturday. So maybe that obviously changes things. But I think I understand that when you're in the hustle and bustle of, European football and stuff in the middle of the season, you've got a lot of rotation. But beginning of the season, right now, you should be able to go with the players that we got for 3 games. I don't think it should be a massive issue.
Yeah.
But the season's just started. Like, it's not like they've got loads of games behind them.
Yeah.
No, but our problem is that we've got so many kind of players who are not fully fit yet, and so
Yeah.
many potential people coming back from injuries. Like we were talking about, like one game is a week. Like it's easy. Top 4 is on. It's like no, because we're still an injured club. We're still like struggling.
It's true.
2 games a week. The season starts, so we're on 2 games a week. We can't handle it. It's like, what do we do here? We actually don't need this game to be falling where it's at.
We don't have the depth to be as strong as we want to be. I think you just have to balance this game in the right way. That's what I mentioned about, you get a solid performance out of whatever team that goes out there. You just try and aim for that win as soon as possible within that game. So then you can take some of those players off with a good 20, 30 minutes to go and not worry about a dismantling of the goals or whatever. I think that's the key thing here, because Newcastle we're going to be saying this every week. Newcastle is a very important game. But as we've all talked about earlier in this conversation, that not putting too much demand on some of these players too soon, not necessarily the ones that are coming in or back from injuries, but the ones that have just started in the team, getting used to different intensities, all of this kind of thing, building from scratch. We run the danger early on already of those. It's just a one-off mid-game for the foreseeable, but these are where injuries can pick up randomly, and we can't afford to do that. We just simply cannot. We do not have the depth for that. We do not have the quality of depth to do that. And before you know it, we'll get to November with a B team and a mix of academy players potentially, because we've made these kind of mistakes. So you really have to. This is not our job. It's De Zerbi's job to manage this. I'm sure he's thinking ahead of time. But you might argue that he may just go out with the same team that he did with Brentford, maybe bar one or 2 players.
I want him to go strong, but I actually think he's going to have Ben Davies at left back and Danzo at right back.
Right back.
I don't think he'll have Ben
right
Davies at
centre
left back. I don't think he will, because Destiny came on towards the latter stage of the game, so it's going to be one of those 2. They need.
No, I mean at left centre back. So Ben Davies at left centre back, Danzo
You think
at right centre back.
So you're saying Danzo and Davies together with Gray and Doggy or Robertson?
Yeah, because I think he's going to want to again play. If Van de Ven's not fit by then, I think he'll probably want to have Van Hecke and Senesi. But I also think he wants to give Ben Davies games whenever he can.
Yes.
So this would be a point where he could essentially.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
as fans, we're like, go full strength, what you do, But like, I think he has to. If you've got a player like that there, you have to show him some faith at some point. And he seems like he is quite a loyalty-based guy. Like the thing with Bergvall and Gray is what he's doing there. He's taking them under his wing, and he wants them to show him that he's got what he takes. And I think he also really respects Ben Davies, so he's going to want to give him.
But if he said after the game, if he did that and he said, and we go out and he said after the game, I knew Ben Davies would struggle more than Senesi, but I had to respect him. Well, you would all flip your shit, wouldn't you?
Oh, well, Stell will be on saying De Zerbi out. 100%. Or whoever that man was pretending to be Stell.
I mean, he sounded like Stell.
I was like, who the hell is this guy?
He was saying Stell things.
Then he started talking. I was like, it's definitely Stell. But no, I think this is the thing. I don't think De Zerbi knows that he's got the faith of the club in the back, and I don't think he will feel himself that he's under any pressure to not make some risky decisions right now. Because I think he knows, like, look, we've got a whole new squad here. Like, this is all going to take time. He did, when Si was joking earlier about, like, the Thomas Frank statement, he did say something, again, it was in better words than Thomas Frank, but he did say, look, until we find our soul, we will suffer. And so he was basically saying, this is going to take time and we'll lose games. That's basically what he was saying.
Yeah. And how do you
It's
find
difficult for Spurs fans to remain
minutes
calm
on the pitch.
and patient.
They need minutes on the pitch, these players. And I think De Zerbi will know that 100%. So I don't think he goes Danso and Davis. I think he goes the same back two of Senesi and Van Hecker. I really do.
Yeah.
But look, I think that is all we have time for today, guys. Thank you so much, Brains and Sai, for coming on today. It's been a long time coming. We're going to be bringing these panel shows to you regularly throughout the season. So big up to Brains, big up to Sai.
Much love, guys.
And big up to all of you guys out there as well. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.